Okay, we will go ahead and get started and see if anybody else hops on to join us today. So this week we have been focusing on full steam ahead. So Monday we learned that the S in STEAM stood for science. We learned that the T on Tuesday, we learned the T stood for technology. Yesterday we learned about the E for engineering. So time for the PowerPoint. What is the A in STEAM?
Art.
It is art. The A stands for art. Now, when STEAM actually first began, it started out as STEM. So it was just STEM. So it was just science, technology, engineering, and math. Well, then over time, they realized they needed to add art into it. So then they added art to it. So a few of the slides later will explain why art was so important to being added into STEAM. So first off, what is art? What do you guys consider art?
Drawing, coloring, making stuff.
Okay. So when you look up the definition for art, the definition of art is definition of art is you get the expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty and emotional power. But art can also be considered, when you get into the broader terms of art, people even include drawing, painting, sculpting, photography, performance art, dance, music, poetry, theater, all that stuff is considered to be art. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. We're going to share a video on what art is. So this is just a quick little video on what is art.
Art. When we hear that word, some of our minds jump to museums or framed paintings. And in that context, some people think, nah, I'm not a big fan of art. I just don't get it. Or they think of art as something that's just for intellectuals or artsy people. But really, art is for anyone who wants to experience it, and it's often in more places than we might realize. Songs you like, movies you watch, poems, theater, even a quilt that your grandmother made. All of that and more is art. So you might be wondering, well, then what is art? How do I define it? Well, that's tough. Art's been around for thousands of years, and through the ages, it's evolved in a number of different ways. And the reasons for creating it vary from person to person depending on any number of factors. So defining art is pretty tricky, and it's something that's been debated throughout history. There just isn't one agreed upon definition. However, many believe that art is anything that stirs emotion in you. Now, the emotions that get stirred up depend entirely on your own history, your story, everything that comes together to make up who you are. And because of this, three different people can experience the same piece of art and have wildly different reactions to it. One person might think it's the most beautiful thing they've ever seen, the second person might hate it, and the third might not feel much of anything at all. And none of them would be wrong. Everyone's entitled to their own preferences and feelings when it comes to art. You know, the way you feel about your favorite song could be the same way that someone else feels about their favorite sculpture. And even though you might not like that sculpture, it can be valuable to consider why that person enjoys it so much. You may learn something about them and maybe even yourself. The term arts is really just a label. Over the years, a lot of people have tried to classify what it is or what it isn't, but that's not really what art is about. It's about your personal experience with it and the meaning that you draw from it. Everyone reacts to art differently and has the potential to grow and learn from it. It gives us the opportunity to tell stories, record history, and tap into our emotions in a way that few other things can.
Goodwill Community Fund.
So that was just another little short video to explain art a little bit more. So now we will go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so. Okay, so the benefits of art in STEAM. So when STEAM first started, art was not in the mix, like I had said, but it was later added, and here are some of the benefits of adding art to the equation. So the first benefit is art already played a vital role in STEAM. So when you think about it, when it comes to learning or teaching science, technology, and engineering and math, art and design have played a prominent role in STEAM, whether it's pointed out to people or not. So art has always kind of played a vital role. Can you think of how art has kind of played a vital role in STEAM? Okay. So art makes STEAM topics more engaging. So kids, you guys don't always love science and math, right? I never really cared for science and math when I was in school. But if you add some art into it, then you seem to have more fun learning it. If you can add some fun ways into learning the topics by adding some art or art type things into the mix. Doing hands-on projects and experiments that involve the art solidifies a child's understanding of concepts. So have you ever found it easier in school to understand a topic if you've gotten to do the project and you've gotten to do hands-on work with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. Like if you're doing an experiment in science and you're just watching the teacher do it, it's like, okay, I kind of get what's going on. But then when you get to do the hands-on stuff and do it yourself, it's more like, oh, okay, I get when I add this to this, it makes this happen. Or even if you can do that with math, if you're drawing something or working on something like that, being able to do hands-on techniques with the learning process make it easier for a lot of students to learn. STEAM connects a child's interest to the real world. So if you've ever watched any of those cooking shows that you see online or on TV and stuff, the cooking shows, you will see science, you'll see art, you'll see math, you could even maybe see technology or engineering. So when you watch like maybe a cooking show, do you guys know how you see science in a cooking show?
Yes. I see science in the cooking show by, let's say they added in, they were supposed to add in 2 cups of yeast, but they want to change it up, so they added 3 cups of yeast, and then to see what happened, like science.
Yep. So, yeah, you see science in the fact of when you mix things, you see what happens to them. You see, oh, I mixed these 2 ingredients together and it formed this into my cooking thing. And then if you look at cooking in an artsy way, when you're decorating a cake, or if you've ever seen like when they do pancake art and all that kind of stuff, that is adding art into cooking. And then math, how do you use math when you're cooking?
You need to add, let's say you need to add 10 cups of milk and 2 cups of sugar and mix them together. How much will you get? Yep,
exactly. And then it says you could even possibly use technology and engineering. Well, when I think of technology, I think of, oh, well, I'm using my oven, and my oven is technology. So I feel like even when you are cooking, you are mostly using technology, depending on what you're cooking. Engineering, I'm not quite so sure how that can fit in, but I mean, there's always the possibility it does. And one of the great things about adding arts is that it's just another way for like kids to be able to connect their interests to the real world. So because we've added art into it, because even if you think about it, art is in a lot of things. Okay? And art, so the next big benefit of putting art into STEAM is the arts show children how to be creative problem solvers and the value of their mistakes. So creative problem solving is what makes all the difference. Art forces you to be creative and That's supposed to say come out of your shell, not some out of your shell. Art gives kids a place to make interesting mistakes and challenge themselves. And art gives kids an arena where there isn't always a right answer. So if you think about it, especially if you're like an engineer, because we were talking about engineering yesterday, and we discussed that when you're an engineer, you have to draw what you are wanting to create so that you have a picture of what you're wanting to draw or what you're wanting to make. And really, I mean, there's no right answer when it comes to art. When you're making art, it's what you see in the image. If you're copying a picture of a sculpture and you're the one drawing it, it's really how you see that sculpture. So art really makes it so that you really aren't wrong when you make art. Okay, now we're gonna have a little bit of a challenge for you guys, okay? You may or may not know these pictures and all this, but we're gonna see, okay? So I have a few paintings. I only picked two of the more famous artists that I know. And I'm gonna show you the picture, and you gotta see if you know the name of the picture and the artist who painted it, okay? You ready? Let's see if you guys know these. Here's the first one.
Mona Lisa, and I can't remember who painted it.
Okay, anybody remember who painted the Mona Lisa? Okay, so it is the Mona Lisa, and it was painted by the artist Pablo Picasso. Okay.
I did not know that about the Mona Lisa.
You didn't know it was painted by Pablo Picasso?
Because in our class we had the Mona Lisa, and therefore, like, when we drew, we could think of her and how patient she was standing there while the artist was painting her.
Mhm.
So it reminded us we need to be patient in our class.
Yep. So Pablo Picasso was born in Spain, and that's where he lived. He was born in 1881, and then he died in 1973. But he was a famous painter from Spain.
I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yep. Okay, here's the next one. Let's see if you guys know this one. Oh my gosh. Just move you people. There we go. There's the picture.
I remember seeing it at the library.
Oh yeah, it's a very famous picture.
Nope, I don't know what it's called. I just remember seeing it at the library.
Okay. This one is called A Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. Okay, and Vincent van Gogh was born in the Netherlands in 1853, and he died in 1890. But these are just two of the more famous painters that I remember growing up. There are many, many more. If you are interested in art, there are lots of famous artists and famous painters out there. There's even Leonardo da Vinci, there's Claude Monet, there's Andy Warhol. Like, there's lots of great artists out there. So since we're talking about adding art into STEAM, do you guys think it was a good idea that they added the art into it, that it's not just science, technology, engineering, and math? Do you like that they added some art to it? Any ideas? No ideas? Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so your challenge for today. Okay, so I know, and we'll talk about the art project in a second, but your other challenge that I have for you today with art is I want you guys to go outside, go into nature. and find some items that you think you could use to make an art project, okay? So let's talk about that a little bit. What kind of items could you find outside that would make a great art project?
Leaves that fall from the trees, we can use those under the paper and we can make beautiful art.
Yep, you can use leaves. What else? What else is out in nature that would be good to use for art?
Grass.
You could use grass.
We can trace the fossil on. Stop it. We can trace the fossil on rocks that we find.
You can do that. See, what about could you use mud to make art or dirt? Think you could? Yeah, you could find dirt outside and add some water to it and make your own mud and make a fun art project. What else could we use? Could we use sticks that we find outside? Sticks make a good art project. So really, there's a lot of stuff in nature that we can use every day to make art. And then I know today you guys got, what was it? In your packets today, you got pipe cleaners.
Two pipe cleaners and googly eyes.
Googly eyes. And what are you making?
A pipe cleaner turtle.
You make a pipe cleaner turtle. And that's what you guys are going to make today, are some pipe cleaner turtles. And like I said, make sure you go out into nature today and you find some stuff to make an art project and take pictures of it and send it to us, okay? But so this week, what?
How do we make a pipe turtle?
Pipe cleaner turtle?
Oh wait, never mind. I think I have an idea of how.
Okay, making the pipe cleaner turtle is kind of it's your art. So since it's art day, it's you make it. So there's no wrong answer on how you make your pipe cleaner turtle. You make it how you want your turtle to look. Because art is really, it's for you. Yes, people look at art and they have feelings on how they feel towards the art, but you're not wrong when you make art. As long as you like what you make, it's always the best art. But so this week so far, we're going to do a little recap. This week we've learned about the S in STEAM, which stood for what again?
Science.
Science. And then we learned about the T, which stood for?
Technology.
Technology. We learned about the E, which stood for?
Engineering.
Engineering. Today we learned about the A, which stands for?
Art.
And tomorrow we will learn about the M. Don't say it now because we'll talk about it tomorrow. But I'm pretty sure you guys know what it is because we've talked about it a few times today in this slideshow, and I'm pretty sure you figured it out by now. What?
I show you my thing that I made yesterday.
Okay, you can show me.
You know the towers that give you internet?
Yep, the towers we told you guys to make.
Yeah. I got inspired for mine by the giant towers that hold our internet. I used to make the red on top, and I used all my newspaper and a lot of my duct tape to make it.
That looks very good.
Even on the bottom, but it is really. I showed it to one of my Zoom teachers that I showed it to one of my specialists on Zoom, and she asked me, "What did I put inside of it?" I said, "Just newspaper and duct tape, and that was all and some fat, and that is all I used to make."
That looks very great. But that is all I have for you guys today. Make sure you turn in tomorrow, and we will talk about the M in STEAM. And I'm pretty sure you guys have figured out what it is by now. Like I said, please make sure you go out and find some stuff in nature. Make some art today. Send us some pictures so we can upload them so that we have some stuff on our webpage from you guys, okay? Have a great rest of your afternoon, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hi.
Bye. Bye. Okay.